All right. Peace to the family, friends out there. This is another live Facebook lesson. It's very short. All right. So I'm going into Genesis, the 34th chapter. All right. And I'm going to tell you about Dinah, which was one of the daughters of Jacob. Jacob had 12 sons and one daughter. And his daughter name was Dinah. All right. So Dinah. Genesis, the 34th chapter, speaks about how Dinah got into some trouble. So we'll cover that. What you're going to need is a King James Bible and a composition book to take notes. See you guys when you come into the room. So this is Genesis. I'll begin with the 34th chapter in the Old Testament. All right? Please share the video with family and friends. Double honors to the elders. Salutations to the brothers. And last but not least, all praises, glorification, and great honor to God, who we know as Yahweh, and Jesus Christ, who we know as Yahweh Shai. Genesis, the 34th chapter. I'm going to read from the top and work my way down to the 31st verse. So Genesis, the 34th chapter, beginning with verse 1, and I will work my way down to the 31st verse. All right? Because there's only 31 verses in Genesis, the 34th chapter. So, Genesis 34, verse 1. And Dinah, the daughter of Leah, which she bare unto Jacob, went out to see the daughters of the land. And these are talking about the Canaanite woman. We know that the Canaanite woman is far different from the Israelite woman. Dinah was an Israelite woman, and who she went out to see concerning the daughters of the land, those was Canaanite woman, Hamite woman, African woman. All right? Genesis 34, verse 2. And when Shechem, the son of Hamor, the Hivite, prince of the country, saw her, he took her and lay with her and defiled her. So basically, Shechem, he was also a Canaanite that was labeled as a Hittite. That was a Canaanite tribe that Shechem, the son of Hamor, was from. So Shechem, the son of Hamor, he saw Dinah, because Dinah had went down into their land. Dinah being an Israelite, Shechem being a Canaanite, he saw Dinah and he took her and he laid with her and he defiled her. Now what does that mean when he say he took her? He raped her. So Shechem, a Canaanite man, raped Dinah, an Israelite woman. Dinah was raped by Shechem, the Canaanite. Genesis 34, verse 3. And his soul clave unto Dinah, the daughter of Jacob, and he loved the damsel. A damsel means a young woman, a marriageable age. And he loved the damsel, and spake kindly unto the damsel. Genesis 34, verse 4. And Shechem spake unto his father, Hamor, saying, get me this damsel to wife. So you see right there, Shechem being a Canaanite, wanted to wife Dinah, the Israelite. Genesis 34, verse 5. And Jacob heard that he had defiled Dinah, his daughter. Now his sons were with his cattle in the field. And Jacob held his peace until they were come. Genesis 34, verse 6. And Hamor, the father of Shechem, the Canaanite, went out unto Jacob to commune with him. Genesis 34, verse 7. And the sons of Jacob came out of the field when they heard it, and the man were grieved. And they were very wroth, very upset, mad, because he had wrought folly in Israel and lying with Jacob's daughter, which thing ought not to be done, because the Bible speaks against interracial marriages. So in other words, when the sons of Jacob heard this news about Shechem the Canaanite had raped their sister Dinah, the Israelite, they was mad as hell, man. Because this thing was not to be done. The Israelites were not to have marriages with other nations. Hey, the Israelites was not to have marriages with other nations. The Bible is against interracial marriage, intermixture, mingling. If you're an Israelite, you have to marry someone among your own nation. If you're an Israelite woman, you must seek out the Israelite men. If you're Israelite men, you must seek out the Israelite woman, but no crossbreeding. So this is the thing that pissed the sons of Jacob off. Because Shechem the Canaanite raped the Israelite, which was their sister Dinah, which was not to be done. Genesis 34 verse 8, and Hamor communed with them, saying, now remember, Hamor is the father of Shechem the Canaanite. Okay, and so Hamor communed with them. He tried to negotiate with the Israelites, saying, the soul of my son Shechem longeth for your daughter. I pray you, give him to wife. So Hamor, being the father of Shechem the Canaanite, had a conversation with Jacob and the Israelites to try to make it okay for Dinah, which was the son of Jacob, to become Shechem the Canaanite's wife. Genesis 34 verse 9. And make ye marriages with us. This is what the Canaanites is telling the Israelites. And make ye marriages with us, and give your daughters unto us, and take our daughters unto you. So the Canaanites asked the Israelites, will they make marriages with them? Will they give their daughters unto them? And will they take their daughters, and will they take Canaanite daughters into their nation? But remember what I said, this is not to be done. Genesis 34 and 10. And ye shall dwell with us, and the land shall be before you. Dwell and trade ye therein, and get you possessions therein. Now, as of a precept, I want to show you something. This is Deuteronomy, because we're going to use a cross-reference. Then I'm going back to Genesis 34 and verse 11 and continue to read. But for now, let me give you a precept concerning interracial marriages, because this is not to be done. Deuteronomy chapter 7 verse 1. This is in the Torah. Deuteronomy chapter 7 verse 1. Deuteronomy chapter 7 verse 1. And when the Lord your God shall bring you into the land where you go to possess it, talking to the Israelites, and have cast out many nations before you. Now it's about to list these Canaanite nations, these African nations, the Hittites, the Girgashites, Amorites, Canaanites, Perizzites, Hivites, and Jebusites. 7 nations that are greater and mightier than thou. Deuteronomy 7 verse 2. And when the Lord your God shall deliver them before you, thou shalt smite them and utterly destroy them, and thou shalt make no covenant with them, nor show mercy to them. So in Deuteronomy chapter 7 verse 2, as a cross reference or a precept, you can see that the Most High did not want the Israelites marrying the Hamitic nations, the Canaanites, the Africans. He didn't want Israelites, which was Jews, intermingling their seed. Deuteronomy 7 verse 3, neither shalt thou make marriages with them. See, he didn't want Israelites making marriages with these Hamites, Canaanites. Neither shall you make marriages with them. Your daughter you shall not give unto his son, nor his daughter shall thou take into your son. See that? So the Most High is against interracial marriage. And also in Deuteronomy chapter 7 verse 4, why Israel was not supposed to crossbreed? why Israel was not supposed to mingle among other nations that were not Israelites. Deuteronomy 7 verse 4. For they would turn away your son from following me, that they may serve other gods. So will the anger of the Lord be kindled against you and destroy thee suddenly. So the Most High did not want Israel intermingling with other nations because he knew the wicked influence they had to offer to the Israelites. So these other nations was wicked as hell. And the Most High knew that if Israel made covenants and dealings with these other nations, they would turn their sons and daughters from following him to keeping their customs and their manners and their traditions, that they may serve other gods. So that was a cross-reference using Deuteronomy chapter 7. We read verses 1, 2, 3, and 4. So now let's go back to Genesis, the 34th chapter, and reiterate Genesis 34 and 9. Actually, Genesis 34 and 9. Yeah. And make ye marriages with us. So the Canaanites wanted the Israelites to make marriages with them. And give your daughters unto us, and take our daughters unto you. Genesis 34 verse 10. And you shall dwell with us, and the land shall be before you. Dwell and trade ye therein, and get you possessions therein. But remember, this was not supposed to be done. Genesis 34 and 11. And Shechem said unto her father. Shechem said unto her father. So Shechem the Canaanite said unto the father of Dinah, which was Jacob. Shechem said unto her father and unto her brethren, which were the Israelites, let me find grace in your eyes. And what ye shall say unto me I will give. Genesis 34 and 12. Ask me never so much dowry and gift, and I will give according as ye shall say unto me, but give me the damsel to wife. So Shechem the Canaanite wanted this Israelite girl, Dinah, trying to negotiate into cutting the deal with Jacob and his sons to give Dinah to him the wife. Genesis 34 verse 13. And the sons of Jacob answered Shechem and Hamor, his father, which was Canaanites, deceitfully, and said, because he hath defiled Dinah their sister. So Genesis 34 and 14. And they said unto them, we cannot do this thing to give our sister to one that is uncircumcised, for that were a reproach unto us. That's embarrassing. So the Israelites told Shechem, which was the father, the Israelites told Shechem the Canaanite and his father Hamor that we cannot do this thing. Genesis 34 14. We cannot do this thing. We can't give. The Israelites said they couldn't give their sister Dinah to you Canaanites. We cannot do this thing to give our sister to one that is uncircumcised, because you Canaanites is uncircumcised. You don't have the foreskin of your penile cut. So that's embarrassing to give our sister. The Israelites was telling the Canaanites, that's embarrassing to give our sisters to you elephant nose Canaanites. Penis looking like an elephant nose because it has not been circumcised. So that's embarrassing to us to give our Dinah the Israelite to you Canaanites. Genesis 34 15. But in this we will consent unto you, if ye will be as we be, that every male of you be circumcised. So they say the only way we'll get Dinah to you Canaanites, all you Canaanites got to cut the foreskins from off your penises. Genesis 34 and 16. Then we will give our daughters unto you, and we will take your daughters unto us, and we will dwell with you, and we will become one people. So Israel was basically, this wasn't something that was true. Israel was being funny. They said, we'll only make dealings with you Canaanites if all you Canaanites circumcise yourselves. Then we'll give our daughter to you. But Israel was being funny. Genesis 34 and 17. But if you will not hearken, listening to us, to be circumcised, then we will take our daughter and we will be gone. Genesis 34:18. And the words pleased Hamor and Shechem, Hamor's son, which was Canaanites. Genesis 34:19. And the young man deferred not to do the thing, because he had delight in Jacob's daughter, and he was more honorable than all the house of his father. Genesis 34:20. And Hamor and Shechem, his son, came into the gate of their city and communed with the men of their city, saying, Genesis 34:21. These men are peaceable with us. Therefore let them dwell in the land and trade therein for the land. Behold, it is large enough for them. Let us take their daughters to us for wives, and let us give them our daughters. Genesis 34:22. Only herein will the man consent unto us for to dwell with us, to be one people, if every male among the Canaanites of us be circumcised as they are circumcised. See? So that's what Shechem and Hamor was reciting to the Canaanite nation. The only way we're going to make dealings with the Israelites, and the only way we can be one people, if we pledge to circumcise ourselves like the Israelites. Right? Genesis 34:23. Shall not their cattle and their substance and every beast of theirs be ours? Only let us consent unto them, and they would dwell with us. Genesis 34:24. And unto Hamor and unto Shechem his son, listen, all that went out of the gate of his city, and every male was circumcised. Every Canaanite was circumcised, because that's how bad they wanted to intermingle with the Israelite women. So every Canaanite ended up being circumcised, all that went out of the gate of his city. Genesis 34:25. And it came to pass on the third day, when they were sore, because after the Canaanites had cut their foreskin, the man's was sore, their penises were sore. Genesis 34:25 says, and on the third day, when they were sore, that two of the sons of Jacob, which was Simeon and Levi, Dinah's brothers, took each man his sword and came upon the city boldly and slew all the males. So you see how they ran game on the Canaanites? They said, if you circumcise yourself, Canaanites, then we can be one people. We will agree to be one people. And see how they tricked the Canaanites? The Canaanites end up cutting all the foreskin off their penises, and they got them when they got them at their weak point. You see what I'm saying? And they went in there and slew all the Canaanite males. Simeon and Levi, which was Dinah brothers, did this. Genesis 34:26. And they slew Hamor, which was the father of Shechem, and Shechem his son, with the edge of the sword, and took Dinah out of Shechem's house and went out. See, the Israelites didn't play. You understand? These Canaanites, they took Dinah and they raped her. So what Israel did? They came for their ass with the edge of the sword, man. You understand? They tricked them, they conned them, told them there'll be one people if the Canaanites circumcised themselves. And after the Canaanites circumcised their penises, they got their asses at their weakest point, went in there and slaughtered the Canaanites, killed Hamor and Shechem with the edge of the sword for raping Dinah, their sister. You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? The Israelites didn't play. Blood for blood, man. Eye for eye, tooth for tooth. See what I'm saying? We got to get back to that spirit. Because these heathen nations think they can just ravage our woman. They think they can have their way with us as of a nation. But we got to get back into the spirit of Simeon and Levi. You know what I'm saying? How they took up for their sister among their nation. But anyways, Genesis 34:27. The sons of Jacob came upon the slain and spoiled the city, because they had defiled their sister. See that? That's what happened when you mess with an Israelite woman. Your city gonna get defiled. You know what I'm saying? Your city, we gonna tear your shit down. We gotta get back in that spirit. Genesis 34:27. The sons of Jacob came upon the slain and spoiled the city, because they had defiled their sister. See, they wouldn't have never fucked up the city if they wouldn't have raped Dinah. But the Israelites say, y'all raped our sister, we finna tear your shit up and kill all your men up. Genesis 34:28. They took their sheep. This is what Israel did. The Israelites took the Canaanite sheep, and they took the Canaanite oxen. They took the Canaanite asses, which is donkeys, and that which was in the Canaanite city, and that which was in the Canaanite fields. Genesis 34:20. They took their shit, man. Genesis 34:29. and all of their wealth, and all their little ones, and all their wives. The Israelites took all the Canaanites' wives, man. They took captive and spoiled even all that was in the house. So they took their wives for concubines. The Israelite men took these Canaanite women for concubines. You see what I'm saying? Genesis 34 and 30. And Jacob said to Simeon and Levi, you have troubled me to make me to stink among the inhabitants of the land, among the Canaanites and the Perizzites. And I being few in number, they shall gather themselves together against me and slay me, and I shall be destroyed, I and my house. Genesis 34 and 31. And they said, should he deal with our sister as with a harlot? So that's the end of Genesis 34th chapter. How Dinah gets into trouble because she went down to deal with those Canaanites and end up getting raped. But we see that her brothers, avenged Dinah by killing those Canaanites. And that was Genesis 34th chapter. So Dinah, which was one of the daughters of Jacob, she should never went down there, man, and deal with those Canaanites, but she did. But, she got avenged by her brothers. Their father didn't think it was a bright idea, but shit, that's what happens. When you mess with the Israelite nation, we got to get back into that spirit. So even Abraham wanted his son Isaac to marry a woman of his stock. Abraham did not want his son Isaac to marry a Canaanite. He did not want Isaac to do that. You see what I'm saying? And so we don't supposed to make dealings with other nations, man. So, yeah, guys, what more can I say? How this all started? How did all this trouble get started? It was because Dinah made friends with these Canaanites who did not obey God's laws. And we don't want to do such. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. Share the video with family and friends. It's been another short lesson, guys. I am your host, Shabar Judah Israel. Until next lesson, Shalom.